everyone, and welcome back to the latest episode of JKL Media Reviews. I'm here with my fellow co-hosts, Jesse
Hello.
and Karen,
Hello.
and me, Lou. So I'll say hello as well. This is going to be a dual function podcast. It's also going to go up as a Stephen King podcast because today we are reviewing the 2025 movie, The Life of Chuck, which as of this recording is very interesting because it's September the 14th, and another King adaptation has just hit the big screens, and that is The Long Walk. And if you ever wanted to see polar opposites in storytelling, this movie and The Long Walk are probably the furthest apart. But it's also a great example of the range of the writing of Stephen King. And I'm thinking that this discussion will be interesting because of the structure of the movie. Also, just as a heads up for all our listeners, on October 19th, we'll be honored by the presence of Hans Lilia from Lilia's Library, the number one Stephen King fan website on the internet. It's been going for, I think over 20 years now. Me and Hans used to do the Stephen King podcast together, and then we are going to get together with Jesse and Karen, and we're going to talk about everything that happened with Stephen King in 2025, and it's a pretty extensive list. That should be a fun time. But for now, we're going to talk about Life of Chuck, and I think it's based largely on the Walt Whitman quote, "I am multitudes." So with that in mind, Jesse, I'll ask you first. Give me your quick impressions, and I emphasize quick, of The Life of Chuck.
Looking at you, Karen, with
Hey
lots
now.
of love. No, I tried to read the short story and did not connect with it. So I don't think I even tried to finish it. Saw the movie, immediately pulled back the story and read it. And this is as good. This is one of the good examples of, and I would say rare, where the film adaptation actually improves on an amazing story. The story is if we're doing numerical, it's a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, and the film is even better. So I adored this film. Want to have Linda watch it, but I know the first part will confuse her too much. But I want to see this film again, and it brought me joy
Awesome.
and
Karen.
questions.
Yeah, Karen.
I loved it.
Wow.
You said be short.
You're taking it to heart, aren't you?
No,
Or is that your passive
seriously,
aggressive
it's no,
payback?
I'm just joking. It was amazing. Casting was great. Story was great. And I loved the form factor as well.
Awesome. So this is, I think you could call this a feel-good movie, even though there's a lot of sad things that happen in the movie. It's notable for the fact that it's directed by Mike Flanagan, who has previously done Dr. Sleep and Gerald's Game. He seems to take special pleasure in adapting the harder stories of King's oeuvre to the screen. And as usual, he has his stable of actors. So there's some new names in here. Of course, the headliner, Tom Hiddleston, is in this, but we also get Antu Atel Ejiofor. Karen Gillan has been with him before.
And like one
Oculus.
of his early
Oculus.
films,
Oculus,
with
yeah.
because
Oculus,
Katie,
Yeah.
because Katie Sackhoff talks about her and
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
and her, yeah.
And we also, for probably away from the screen for quite a long time, Mia Sara, who still looks fantastic.
Amazing, yeah.
Unbelievably. And then we also have Carl Lumley, Benjamin Pajak, Jacob Tremblay, and Mark Hamill. And probably to Karen's delight, it's narrated by Nick Offerman.
I know. I loved that. He's got a great voice.
Yes. So this movie is, and the story is structured in an unusual way in that it goes in reverse chronological order. And I just think that I don't really know if it was necessary to tell the story in chronological reversed order. That's the aspect of the story that I struggle with the most, because Jesse, when I first read the story, I'm going, like, why is the story structured this way? Why just not tell it the other way around? But for whatever reason, and somebody wiser out there than me, or maybe one of you two can tell me why you think you have a theory as to why he did it that way. In fact, let's run that around the table. Karen, why do you think they told the story in this order?
I have no clue. I have to say, I loved it like that. I like anything that's off the beaten path as far
Mm-hmm.
as production of movies, books, that sort of thing. And I thought it was novel, and it did actually indicate before you started watching each section that it was out of order. It had that splash screen of Act Three at the beginning of the movie, and I'm primed and ready for it to go backwards, essentially. I think it's a Christopher Nolan movie, Memento. Yeah, that is also disjointed. Pulp Fiction as well. I love those movies, and I'm not sure if I don't think that's the reason I love them. They have to be good as well,
Mm-hmm.
but I that something's novel about it. So I don't know why he chose that, either of them, but I think it's cool.
Okay. Jesse.
So my theory is that we talk about at the very end that Chuck has a whole world in his mind, that his mind is so vast that there is a new universe in there. And so the universe is ending in chapter 3, the first part, because Chuck is ending.
Mm-hmm.
And
Hmm.
so that's the reason why we are showing that, literally to show you that, because we don't know why the universe is ending. They don't explain that. Why is the internet gone? Why are the stars going out? And at the end is because Chuck, and this is what I want to discuss. Is this in chapter 3, is this only in Chuck's head? Or is this actually the true world ending?
That's
And
a little bigger subject.
yeah, and so we'll get to that, but that's why I think they do it that way, is
Okay.
to say, here is this world has ended, and this is why.
Okay. I just come up with a theory, listening to you talk, both of you talk. I think maybe what they're trying to capture here is that when you are at the end of your life, you have the tendency to go back into your memories and go
Yeah,
Mm,
back reverse chronological order. So
yeah,
maybe that is what the film is trying to capture, is maybe the death process of what's going on in Chuck's mind. Because I think Nick Offerman narrates at one point that Chuck can't even remember or differentiate between being awake and being asleep anymore.
yeah,
So maybe
mm.
your mind just naturally rewinds backwards through your life to do that. I think also stylistically, they were trying to capture the fact that things that happen to us in our youth that we may not remember still continue to influence us as adults. There's the dancing, obviously, is the main thing, but even like the movement, like when Chuck puts his hand up in the air, we see later on in the movie that Mia Sarah does the same thing when she's dancing in the kitchen, when she starts to pick up the beat. So
yeah.
I think maybe that's why the story's told this way, but that's just a guess. And I just came up with that off the top of my head.
It's as good a guess as any.
Something
Yeah.
to think about. So the first part of the movie, and we can talk about the universe is dying right off the bat. I don't see why we have to hold on to that. From my perspective on the story, that universe only exists in Chuck's head. And I think that's the whole point of the movie, is that between like in the movie, they show this teacher putting her hands on either side of Chuck's head.
Right.
Inside of that head is a universe. And I think we all carry that. And that's based on what happens to us in our real life. It's also based on our wishes and desires. It's also based on all the content that we consume, fictional or otherwise. So that makes for what I think the movie's trying to do is make people realize that even though they may not have achieved their life dream of becoming a dancer or a TV weather report man, you're still unique and special because you have a universe inside your head that nobody else has. And I think to me, that's the thrust of what the movie is trying to tell us, that there's no such thing as an ordinary life. We all have an extraordinary life. And I think that's a very positive humanistic message to tell everyone. Karen, what do you think of that idea? Or do
Yeah,
you
I
agree with that?
100%. Yeah, it's one of the things that struck me as I was watching it is I'm fairly certain that this is meant to say that is one of the multitudes that is in his brain. There are a few clues to that. The main character of the first part, the teacher,
Right.
he is in the other part where Chuck is a young boy.
Yeah. So is
Um,
Karen Gillian's character.
Yep. And so is we see that Carl Lumley is in that
Yep.
part as well.
Yep. The
There's a
girl on the
lot of
roller skates.
people exactly, and they seem to be the same age, the same person. So it seems to me that these are memories that he's made of a certain point. Like that guy was a teacher in his school as he was growing up. So
Hmm.
he is in that end moment where he's grasping onto all these memories from his past and it being all mixed up. Also, the drummer's sidekick was up on the stage during the dance
Mm.
as well. So there's a lot of those little moments in it that were to me a clue in to say, yeah, it's not the real world, and I'm putting air quotes around that, but it's the world that's in Chuck's dying brain, where he
Hmm.
is remembering his life and all the people that he's come in contact with, etc.
Okay. So Jesse, did that, how do you feel about that? My take
Yeah,
on
no,
that.
I think that's a perfect take on it. He's, in my mind, it is the universe in his, he has created this universe in his own life, right?
Yeah.
And so I absolutely do think that in in the real world has continued. And I think one of the things that feels is when you lose someone you care about, whether it's a parent, a sibling, a child, it the world continues and you want to go, but why is it continuing? Do you guys not know that my life has changed from how it will always be? And you guys are just looking, oh, we're moving on now. Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. And it's beautifully told. I love this, the way they're telling the story. And yeah, just very happy.
Yeah, I'm overall really happy with the adaptation. I do wish they hadn't have given away the fact that Chuck was dying so early in the movie, like at the end of the third act. They should have saved that till the end, like when the younger version of Chuck sees his future in that room. I think that's where
Hmm.
they should have done that. But I think because of the structure of the movie, they felt compelled to add that scene. And I don't know if that cleared it up for people or not. But I think the thing that strikes me the most about this movie is it's just that even with the tragedy, like there's just so much tragedy in Chuck's life, losing his parents, losing his grandparents, and then finding out that he's dying at 39. That's such a young age, especially like
Hmm.
for somebody in their late 60s. I just can't really fathom dying that young. And I think that's for me, that was the hardest thing for me to digest or in the movie. Karen, what about you? What was the hardest thing, or was there anything hard for you to digest in this movie from an emotional point of view?
I don't think there was anything particularly hard for me to digest.
Hmm.
I do, to your point, I think that they gave away that he was dying so that they wouldn't lose the audience.
Right.
So there's that. But I was anxious that we weren't going to see that room, number one. Although, to be fair, it wouldn't be past either of these, King or Flanagan, to not show us the room ever. Otherwise, I don't know. I don't think I had anything that was hard for me to get or to be uncomfortable by. It was, as you said, it's truly a feel-good movie, even though there's a lot of tragedy in it. You can't help but be a little better for it at the end.
I respectfully disagree. I think the reason why the sweetness of the dancing and the relationship with his grandparents, the undertone of knowing that his life was going to be so short helps season the beauty of that. And having the great Nick Offerman say, and he didn't know as he was dancing how long he had left to live. By setting up the clue that it's 39 great years, his wife and son sets the clue that when you get the payoff, it's Chekhov's life. That when the teacher, which is, we talked about a little bit that stable of actors. And in this case, Katie did not have a very big role.
Right.
But it was a very sweet, important role. So I think that is what it needed to do to explain the story, especially in film. I get what you're saying, but I think the surprise is what's about the room and why is that scar so important? And then you get the reveal when he saw the older man and saw the scar, that's when he knew, oh, the ghost of this room is they show you your death or friends' deaths, family members' death. Yeah.
Okay. Good point. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Just a random tangent here, but the girl on the roller skates, did anybody recognize her?
No.
That's Heather Langenkamp, right?
No, Heather Langenkamp was the neighbor.
Oh.
The girl on the roller skates is Violet McGraw. She played the young Nell in or House of Usher, Haunting of Hill House. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
How nice.
Yeah, and she's also in Doctor Sleep. She's in the opening scene. She gets kidnapped by the Rose and the traveling band people. True Knot. Yes. So I thought that was interesting. Yeah, Heather Langenkamp. I didn't even recognize her. For people who are too young to know who she is, she was in the original Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh,
yeah. So it was Flanagan has a habit of, or a tendency, and it's a nice one too, to pull in people that probably who's been forgotten by the rest of Hollywood. Mia Sara, who I thought was just fantastic in this movie.
Everyone was fascinating in this movie. Just so well done.
Yeah. Yes, for sure.
You know who Chuck's mother was, right? Jesse? Mother in that little flashback where she said she was pregnant?
Yes, I'm trying to remember, but yes, it's
Molly Quinn from Castle.
Yes, Molly Quinn. Yes, I do. I did notice that.
Yeah, I thought she looked familiar.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought, is that
makes me feel really old.
Yeah, yeah. So that was really well done. I think what the movie does really well, though, is in the opening act where the world is just deteriorating. California's falling into the ocean. The internet is breaking down. We get those funny scenes with David Duchamel complaining that they can't access Pornhub anymore.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. But there's this, and then Matthew Lillard has that scene talking about the sinkholes.
I can't believe that's Shaggy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And apparently he's going to be in the Carrie remake that
Flanagan's
doing for Netflix. But it sets up and it captures the vibe of the world today. I think a lot of people are depressed and disillusioned about where we're going and whether we are on like our last legs of where society is going to go. Obviously, recent events haven't helped that anymore. It's made things worse. Talking about Charlie Kirk for those who might be listening to this in the future and not knowing what we're talking about. But there's just this general sense of disillusionment. And I think that was done really well in the opening segment. And it's parallels maybe how we, as we get near the end of our life, if it's a gradual thing like what Chuck is going through, how we disconnect from the world and become closed into ourselves. And I thought that was pretty well captured in the first act. And I think Chiwetel Ejiofor and Karen Gillan just did a great job. I was hoping that at some point they may have realized that they were just part of Chuck's imagination, but that never came across. And that's just one of those quirky things that I would have liked to have seen happen. I don't know how you guys feel about that, Jesse.
In my truth canon, that they are real people, so they continue their lives It's just this version of them are in Chuck's life. The rest of the world continue. And do they get divorced? Do they get together? Do they all these other lives continue to happen? It's just the version of real life, quote unquote, didn't have the internet going and it wasn't dying. Yeah, so I think that's part of the power of that is they don't understand what's going on because to them their life is real, but in reality they're just in someone else's fishbowl.
Karen, you got any extra thoughts on
Yeah,
that?
I don't think they would have an inkling. I don't know that Chuck would have put that on them, if that makes sense. He was having a hard time remembering anything.
Yeah.
And since they're part of his, and this is all because we're assuming that's what it means,
Yeah.
but he
Like,
remembers them. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't even think he realizes that he's that
Dying?
there, yeah, that he's destroying this universe.
No.
He just does it. He just is. It's just the matter of fact it's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
he's remembering things as he's dying. Of course, they're out of order. There's anomalies here and there, but to his mind, he's forgotten the internet. He's forgotten parts of the world. He's not remembering, how people speak. So the things that he's forgetting are the things that are being lost in this universe.
Yeah.
So I assume those people are living in that reality.
Yeah.
So to them, they don't even think that there's any bigger thing because there isn't to them. They're just these memories of past people that have gone through his life. I love that Walt Whitman poem that they contain multitudes. It's beautiful. And that was also in the first part where they were in his classroom and there was a student up reciting that and people weren't paying attention to him either. And so it looks to me like everything was all jumbled up. And so to him, they were memories, but because of what was happening to his body, etc., that's the analogy that we're pulling.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I random thoughts again, because I've recently seen with Neil deGrasse, they're talking about the fact that maybe our universe is inside a black hole. I was just wondering, watching this movie, it says maybe we're all just a figment of somebody else's imagination.
Yes.
That's a very prevalent theory.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was interesting. So the third act ends, and then we get into the Act Two, Buskers Forever. And this is really the piece of the movie that features Tom Hiddleston. I think one of the hardest things to capture on film, and even though they showed a lot of movies with great dance sequences in that, I think it's almost, and Jesse, you probably could speak to this better than me and Karen, is you just have to be on some level attracted to that kind of entertainment. From a physical standpoint and a choreographical standpoint, I can appreciate what they were doing. Hiddleston, and I don't know who the actress that he was dancing with. I could appreciate.
She looks familiar, but when I pull her up on IMDb, I don't recognize anything she's been in.
Okay, yeah, I didn't either. Like that whole.
It's Annalise Basso.
Yeah,
I believe, and she looks very familiar, but I don't. Oh, she played in Snowpiercer, the TV series, and so that's where I know her from. Okay.
Oh, okay. So that whole sequence with Tom Hiddleston's character with Chuck dancing, like I was impressed by it. But there's people that, like, if you don't like opera, you can appreciate the technical or artistic ability of the people that are doing it, but it just doesn't touch me on that kind of level. So I'm curious. I know I mentioned you first, Jesse, but I'll give Karen first shot at this. How did you react to the dance sequences in this second and first acts of this movie?
I loved them. I will say I'm a little biased because I grew up watching a lot of classic movies, and a lot of those are like the Fred Astaire movies.
Right.
I love all those movies. One of my favorites growing up was Funny Girl. No, not Funny Girl. Oh my goodness, what's the name of it? Anyway, it doesn't matter, but it's Audrey Hepburn and Fred Astaire. Listeners might know, but I love that kind of like a sweeping kind of scene.
American in Paris.
Or yeah,
Yeah.
all that sort of
Yeah.
singing in the rain.
Yeah. That great. Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, those are, and I was even in some musicals in junior high and high school. I am not a good dancer at all. I am terrible. I envy people that love it. I do. I'm very much a music person, even though I don't listen to it much right now in my life, but I sing. So when the busker was drumming, I was seeing all the notes in my head, especially when she's like describing all the different types of music she's going through. To me, those are beautiful. It's a way to express yourself and you're vulnerable. You give part of yourself to whoever it is that's listening or watching. And so to me, it really hits home when you see someone do something out of character, but it's so vulnerable and telling about who they are. Yeah, I loved, I think, although I think it was the shortest part, the middle part, it had a lot of impact for me because of all that. Plus, he's an incredible dancer.
Jesse.
So I often I can get bored with long dance scenes at times, but I didn't for this one. One, I think it's brilliant that they made the drummer female instead of male. In the book, he's male. That works for some reason. That actress had a lot of charisma, right? And since I did not remember the short story, I was a little bit surprised when Loki starts dancing.
He seemed very
And
Loki in that scene, didn't he?
yeah,
He did.
and it was beautiful. And I love the idea that he come on, little sister. And you don't know what that means till later. Once again, we get a great.
Say that
So
again,
yeah.
Jesse. Sorry, you
Oh,
froze for a second, and you're freezing again. Oh,
come on, little sister.
right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I love that. So yeah, I think the energy and the joy that he was showing makes this work. I was captivated by it. It didn't bother me at all. And I do think seeing all that joy just makes it work for me. Yeah. I don't know if I answer your question,
Yes,
but
you
yeah,
did. Yeah.
okay, good.
Yeah. I think
Okay, it's funny face.
Okay.
Sorry, I had to break in.
no problem. I think actually the moment that scene worked for me is when Offerman was doing the narration and he said something to the effect that Chuck thought that his swinging of his hips to the drum beat is what proves that there's a God or something to that effect. I don't remember the exact narration, but that's when that scene clicked for me because I was just taking it more the fact, okay, he had this desire to be a dancer when he was younger. And in this one moment, he got to live it out as an adult. And even though he did, there was moments where you could see that his tumor was starting to affect him, where he was wincing in pain. So it's a bittersweet moment for him, but full marks for the dancing. I thought they were amazing. But for me, who's not a person that gets moved by dancing, like I don't get moved by opera, I didn't get that emotional hook that the movie was going for. So that's the main point that I was trying to make there.
Okay.
So we have the middle act, and then we get into the first act, which is young Chuck, and there's three actors that play Chuck: Cody Flanagan, as the 7-year-old Chuck, and I assume that's one of Mike Flanagan's kids.
It is.
Benjamin Pajak as 11-year-old Chuck, and Jacob Tremblay as 17-year-old Chuck. And boy, Jacob Tremblay, he was in the Dr. Sleep. He was the baseball boy. This was, I think, was my favorite part of the movie, actually. I just thought that the three actors just really played the character of Chuck wonderfully. I know that Mia Sara and Mark Hamill did great jobs as well. I think Mark Hamill gave a great job about the beauty of math, and I think that was really well done, and it explains why Chuck became an accountant, even though and it seems like on the surface that these two areas of vocation, math and dancing, are totally opposite from one another. But the way Mark Hamill's character broke it down, it just made it seem math rules. And I really appreciated that. And we get the scene with Chuck with Flanagan's wife as the teacher talking about I am multitudes. I just found that this was the more emotionally rich part of the story. And it's resonated more because you knew from the other two acts what this dancing and how it related to Chuck and with his grandmother. I just really enjoyed all of that part of the story. Karen, how about you? What did you think of the first act?
Oh my goodness, yes. Of course, we're going to love that part the most, right? Because not only is it it's half of this movie, but it fleshes out the entire thing. It's like the other part was a setup. As much as I loved those other two, the first two acts, this third one is everything. And yeah, that's his son. And I think it's cool that he gets that scene with Kate Siegel, who is his mother in real life as well. I thought that was really cool. And Mike Flanagan is also in this at the funeral.
The funeral.
Yeah. I thought that was cool that it's like a whole family gathering thing.
Took
but
me
anyway,
out of the movie for a moment, but
did it?
Yeah.
Not me.
That's the director.
I noticed it. And it's again, I think it's part of his fascination with Stephen King, how Stephen King tends to put himself in his own projects as well in little parts.
Is he like Hitchcock? He does this in every film?
No, this is the first time he's been in this, as I know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's put his sibling in a couple of other, I don't want to say him because he is non-binary. I found that out looking at all the people in this movie. Yeah, that is the richest part of the story, the third act. I love to see him at different ages. You talked about Jacob Tremblay, who he played the middle Chuck, the 17-year-old Chuck. And he was in Room. I don't know if either of you have seen that movie. Not the campy
I was going to say, really?
No, it's where he and his mother have been abducted and they're locked in a room and they get rescued at the end. But come on, he's telling the story. So you know that they get out at the end. Okay. But he was amazing in that. He was highly praised for his role in that film. I think he was nominated for something for it. And I think his son playing the younger Chuck, he carried that part of the film as well. It wasn't nepotism as much as I think he was easy to cast, but he did an amazing job. And I think all three of the actors seemed like the same person. I think the two younger actors studied Tom Hiddleston because they had the same mannerisms, the same way of walking and talking, and they just really embodied each other. And so it was a joy to watch them all in this part of the movie, even though we don't really get a lot of the adult Tom Hiddleston in this, very ill Tom Hiddleston. But the part where he's learning dance, the part where he is interacting with his grandparents, and that tragedy is a steady part of his life growing up, but he still finds joy And I think that's part of that whole dancing thing in the middle section is that him trying to find joy in his own tragedy, maybe. I am reading so much into this. I'm sorry. But that last part just, it's the part that gets you choked up. It's the part that you're going to think back to and realize there was a lot to it. The other parts, I think they were great, but they're not the meat of the story. And this was very heavily the meat of the story. And I have to give it to Flanagan here. He took something that was out of his wheelhouse. There is a slight supernatural part to this movie, but it's not overt. And he really made this into a like a really great drama in this latter half of the movie. I can't say better things about it. I would have liked for this to be 2/3 of the movie, to be honest. Half of the movie was just as effective.
Right. Jesse.
It it felt like there was one actor playing Chuck,
Yeah.
even though I absolutely understand that we're different young men, but it felt like the same person. And I love the idea of when they cut in the middle part, when he was dancing, he would see the wooden spoon hitting the pot, right?
Yep.
And then you see in the third part where that came from. I I I just really feel like it was the right mix. I feel like all the spices and all the ingredients worked really well together. And so yes, I would have loved to know more what happened in the first part and do our couple get back together again, right?
Yep.
But I think it's brilliant, the being cut off in mid-sentence. I love end.
Yep.
And yes, I would love to know more about Chuck's adult life, his wife and his son and I think it's beautiful that they're there with him and his wife says it was a good life. It was a good 39 years. Very powerful.
Which is on the billboard.
Yeah, and I will tell you, I will forever appreciate the fact that you had me watch Midnight Mass first.
Oh, okay.
Because Samantha Sloan
Oh my
is
goodness.
absolutely evil in Midnight Mass. And
Yeah.
I hated that character intensely.
Yep.
And now I adored her in this
Oh,
role.
she was so great.
It's cool.
Nope. You're mine now.
Yeah.
Nope, you can't get away.
Yeah. Get ready to hate her again, Jesse, because she's going to play Carrie's mom in the new Carrie.
Okay, but and I don't know, did either one of you watch The Pit?
I've
on
seen a couple
HBO?
of episodes. My wife's watched it. Yeah.
It is, if you are into ER and doctor shows, you'll love it. But she is great in that. And so I just talk about a chameleon, right? Talk about someone that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said something there about the pot that just strikes me now. This is maybe a reason why adult Chuck reacted to the drummer, because there was probably some sort of subconscious connection between the drums and his grandmother tapping the wooden spoon on the pot. I think that might be the spark that caused him to dance as an adult. So that was a good catch. Yeah.
And like you said, the beauty of, you see his grandmother putting her hand up, and then you see him doing the same thing. Her little sister, him little sister. There is joy and heartbreak. There is, and no matter how much sadness, one of my favorite Bruce Springsteen songs, Take a Drink, is Better Days, where, and it talks about that I'm sitting around waiting for my life to begin while it's all just pissing away. And you have to seize life. I know it's a cliche, but it truly is.
Seize the day.
And
Carpe
and
diem.
this really talks about that. It's a beautiful film, and I don't know if enough people are going to see it,
Yeah.
and I don't know if it will get some Oscar love, but it absolutely should because
Mhm.
this is just so beautiful. And we haven't even got to Mark Hamill yet, and he's amazing in it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting you mentioned about the Oscars because the Life of Chuck won the People's Choice Award at the Toronto International Film Festival.
Oh,
And
nice.
the last three or four movies that have won that award at Toronto went on to win the Best Picture.
Ooh,
But I don't know if Chuck has enough visibility for it to be able to make that. I think it would be amazing if it even got nominated for Best Picture, to be honest. But I think
yeah.
this is one of those quiet pictures that will build up an audience over time, like the Shawshank Redemption. From my
Yeah.
understanding, it's doing fairly well on streaming. So who knows? But
Yeah, people are paying for it still.
yeah,
It's not even free yet.
theatrically it didn't do very well. It only got a limited release as well. That's
It's
too bad.
it's a hard film to
Explain.
explain and sell,
Yeah,
right?
to do an elevator pitch, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's easy if you can watch it from your home.
yeah,
Easy.
yeah.
And see,
And
I go ahead, I'm
go ahead.
sorry.
No.
I watched it on the plane going to New Jersey,
Hmm.
and it was in a lot of perfect, and so I want to see it again on a bigger screen because I'm watching it on my phone. But the beauty of that is that I'm not distracted. I can't get up and get a snack. I can't do anything. I'm just sitting there in my seat. And I was just so thrilled that I had it. Because originally I was like, oh, I can double task. This way, while I'm flying, I can get ready for the podcast in the next week. And instead, I loved it.
Awesome. Awesome.
Awesome. Yeah,
Well,
just quickly, looking over the IMDb list, there were more people from his stable in the movie. Hamish Linklater, who was in Midnight Mass, he played
yeah.
the pastor. He was a voice on the radio,
Okay.
a reporter, sorry. Carla Gugino, who has been in everything as far as I know,
Yeah.
I love her
was
so much.
yeah, she was a voiceover in the movie. Wait, no,
Rahul Kohli.
that was it. Rahul Kohli, yeah, we saw him on screen.
Yep.
Elon Gale, no, not him. Andy Grush, who played Taylor's driver, has composed like all of Flanagan's things. So he is a background player, but definitely a player. So I love that he uses the same people in all his movies. And a pretty notable part of this was that it was filmed during the writer's strike, actors strike, writer's strike, all that at the end of 2023. And it got a special dispensation. I don't know why, but it was in that like part the subset of projects that could be made legally without people having to cross picket lines. And
Mhm.
that's part of why he picked some of these people because they would work for scale. He didn't have to do a big budget thing with it, although he's not really known for that. But that's part of the speculation is that he would have used them most likely anyway, but it was easy to pick them because he was restricted in a lot of what he could do. I love this. Harvey Goyen, I can't say his name right. He was in it as Hector. These are not people who are in his stable. David Dastmalchian, as you mentioned, he was great as the father that comes in and waxes nostalgic about Pornhub. As we mentioned early, Molly C. Quinn. Has Carl Lumley been in anything else of
Yeah, he was
his?
in Doctor Sleep.
Okay.
He played the Scatman Crothers character.
Oh,
Oh God, what's that guy's name? I should know it.
But
I know who you
Caretaker
mean.
from the cook from
yeah,
the hotel.
The hotel,
and
yeah.
and what
The
a
Shining.
great second act he's had. Carl Lumley, because I remember him from Alias, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's played John Jones in a lot of things. Like he
Yeah.
does the voice of John Jones, the Martian
Yeah.
character.
And Isaiah Bradley, the first Captain America. He was
Yeah.
in the Fall of House of Usher, according to this,
Yeah.
Yep.
which I haven't
Yeah, he
watched yet,
was.
but I need
We
to.
we need to do that at some point. But yeah,
Mhm.
the cast is amazing in this. I just really I loved it.
Awesome.
So I just wanted to add a few little things. It sounds like you're wrapping it up.
Yep.
I didn't mean to
Uh,
break in.
it's okay. Jesse, you mentioned Mark Hamill. Did you want to add any more
Mm,
to that?
It was, I loved the relationship and then the sadness after you lose a child and then you lose your spouse.
Yeah.
And I do love his passion about the numbers. You talked about that, how
Yeah.
lovely that was.
What he
I
reminded me
just,
of?
yeah,
Geppetto
yes,
from
mm,
Pinocchio.
yeah.
yeah.
And
Now
so,
he has gotten better as
Yeah.
the years go
And
on.
Mark Hamill's also in The Long Walk. He
Yeah,
plays the villain, the
not a
colonel,
good
the
guy.
major.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
mhm,
Some would say the driving force.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Once more around the table. Karen, any last thoughts?
No, A plus, A plus plus. And I love Tom Hiddleston
Hmm.
very much. I've really loved him since the very first Marvel movie
Yeah.
I saw him in. What was it, the Avengers, the original, or was it Iron Man?
I think it's
I'm not sure which
Avengers.
came first. Was it the Avengers first? Okay.
Yeah.
I think
Um,
so.
he is amazing as Loki, and from what I've seen him in since then, I fall in love with his acting, and to see him dancing so well in this, it was another little revelation for me. So
Really
have him,
thin.
yeah, he's very lanky.
Yeah.
There's nothing about this movie that really super bother. And like you mentioned, Nick Offerman, how can I not like that? He's
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
such a great voice, and I could see him jumping on this as a project. He tends to pick projects that he falls in love with, and it doesn't matter that it'll do anything. So yeah, I loved that. I loved everything about this. And I know it's not the most popular movie ever, but I don't know where anyone could say anything really terrible about it.
Yeah. I also think he was pretty good, and I saw The Light, even though that's a
Mm,
pretty standard biopic that Dewey Cox made fun of, but it
right.
is fun to watch him. And it's funny because Elizabeth Olsen plays his wife, Audrey Williams, and Tom Hiddleston plays Hank Williams. So you've got two Marvel leads playing leads
Dude.
on it. So yeah, I am just so glad. I knew I wanted to watch the film, but I love that the film brought me back to the short story and I got to read that and really enjoy it again. So yeah, great choice.
Yeah.
Great choice.
It's ultimately a feel good movie, and I think for me the most important aspect of it is because most movies where we it's a feel good story, it's always about extraordinary or ordinary people doing extraordinary things, or they're really gifted, talented people, be they an athlete, musician, or they're a good fighter, or they're a top
Yeah.
soldier, or whatever. This is just a story about regular people or a regular person, and
Yeah.
in no way does their life have any less value than the typical generic hero in most movies. I really appreciate it from that aspect. And this is this movie does a I think what it highlights for me is that King did a really good job on the short story of describing the dance scene, because that's hard to do because dancing is such a visual
Yeah.
art, and to write about it in a story is difficult. But I think he did a really good job in the story about capturing how especially the busking scene with Tom Hiddleston does. I thought he did a really good job of describing the whole mood and the mechanics of dancing in the short story. So the movie just reinforced that for me even more.
Yeah.
All righty. That's it then, guys. That's our discussion, The Life of Chuck. I don't know. if we're up for it down the road, maybe we'll do it with Lilia, or maybe we'll do a separate one. But the long walk, I think we'll get a view or maybe an episode on its own, because I think it's too important of a movie not to give it its dues. But we'll see how that goes. I don't know if that's something that Jesse will be able to handle, but we'll have to
No,
see.
I do know. I read the story. Yeah, I
Oh,
read
okay.
and it's a very dark
Yeah.
take on that. Yeah.
Not exactly a feel-good movie.
No,
No, not at all.
no, for sure. All righty. With that, then we're going to sign off. But before we do, Jesse, where can people find out about you on the interweb?
You can find me at Jesse Jackson DFW on Twitter, Blue Sky, X, all those places. You can find me talking music. This is the 10th anniversary, September, of Set Lusting Bruce, and I'm doing a series of episodes to celebrate that. And I would love for you guys to come and check out some of them. I have coming up on September 25th a interview with a lady, High Hopes, a memoir that is just an amazing book and a story about the power of music. So please check that out. And we'll continue to have fun here. Karen, how about you?
You can email us at jklmediareviews@gmail.com, and you can find me at Aleveria, Aleveria, on social media, and my blog is alistuff.com.
And you can find me at News Review on YouTube, where we have our archived episodes of Babylon 5, including the animated movie. We also have some of our earlier JKL media podcasts over there, but I think I've transferred most of them over to the JKL Media Reviews YouTube page as well. So you'll find where we do one-offs like this movie, books, movies, comics, and I don't know what we're doing next week yet. Jesse, did you mention that yet, or you don't know?
I'm going to give you guys a choice. It is going to be Bruce Springsteen theory themed because I'm going to use this on my Springsteen celebration. So I'm going to give
Okay.
you guys a couple of choices.
Okay. So look forward to that. In the meantime, you can also find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at lou.w.sytsma, Sytsma. And until next time, to paraphrase or to steal from another famous couple, the balcony is closed. Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
And scene.
The proceeding has been a JKL Media production.